Every year, The Athletic comes out with a poll asking players who they think is the most overrated player in the league. Answers always vary from year to year and from player to player, so in this video, I'll be sharing who I think are 5 of the most overrated players in the MLB entering the 2025 season in no particular order. Luiz Arraez of the San Diego Padres is the first overrated player on my list, which may come as a surprise to some. Known for his elite contact ability as one of the league's premier slap hitters, Arraez is, in my opinion, a very one-dimensional player. Taking a quick look at his 2024 stats, Arraez posted an eye-popping .314 average, but that also came along with very lackluster counting stats, which is evident by his mere 4 home run total, along with under 50 RBIs in the leadoff spot. Not only was Arraez less productive offensively than most people think, but he was also one of the league's worst defenders with a negative 13 outs above expected. Whenever a player hits above 300 in a season, it's typical that they gain some pretty substantial praise, as it's not an easy thing to accomplish. However, in the case of Luiz Arraez, I believe that's one of the only few things he really brings to the table, making him one of the more overrated players in the league in my view. The next player on my list is Correa of the Minnesota Twins. Correa has always been one of the flashier names in baseball, drawing praise for his strong glove, as well as often consistent offensive output. His offensive profile has typically been pretty well-rounded, with a strong power and contact ability. In 2024, Correa dealt with injuries, but when he did manage to stay on the field, he posted a strong .310 average to go with 14 homers in just a little over half a season. You might be wondering why I think he's overrated after a productive 2024, which is fair, but for me that's actually part of the problem. His .278 expected batting average and .455 expected slugging prove that Correa managed some good luck last season that clearly inflated his numbers. Many people in the industry are completely buying what Correa did last year, even after a disaster 2023 campaign. For this reason, I think Correa enters the 2025 season as one of the more overrated players in the league. Now we transition over to Jazz Chisolm, the newly acquired New York Yankee last season. Jazz is the prototypical fun player that brings the vibes to go along with some power and speed. He's a confident player that plays with an edge and loves to put his name out in the public. In 2024, Jazz managed to produce a 2040 season, showcasing the various tools in his game. These numbers obviously pop on the page, but in my eyes, they don't entirely reflect him as a player. Jazz has a lot of inconsistency in his game, having streaks of which he looks like an elite talent, while other months he looks totally lost. His enormous strikeout rate signals these frequent struggles, while his walk rate leaves a little to be desired too. Jazz is definitely a fun and entertaining player to watch, but I think people do get caught up in the hype, forgetting how inconsistent he is during the entire season. A good player for sure, but far from an elite one. Moving on to the next player, I've chosen Bregman, who is currently a free agent. Bregman's calling card has always been his ability to make contact and fight off pitches until he gets his pitch. While he might not be dominant in any one particular aspect, Bregman also doesn't have many holes in his game. When looking at last season's numbers, Bregman posted one of his typical seasons where he had 26 homers, 79 runs, and a .260 batting average. Those numbers are almost exactly in line with his previous 2 seasons. For myself though, Bregman gets the overrated label from the fact that he's honestly just slightly above average in everything, but he gets recognition as if he's a star. His counting stats as well as his walk rate took a dip last year, signaling that age regression may also be creeping in now too. While I definitely can admit that he's a productive ball player, I just don't think he meets the criteria of a star, which is the way most people value him, so he makes the list for those reasons. The last player on my most overrated list entering the 2025 season is the sole pitcher on this list, which is Blake Snell. One of the more electrifying players in the sport, Snell has stuff that rivals the best, making him extremely fun to watch every time he's on the bump. His 2024 season was no different, as it saw him post an elite 3.19 ERA. Snell manages to limit hits, pairing that with huge strikeout ability, which often gets him out of trouble. The problem I have with Snell though is that his consistency month to month is so poor that it leaves him susceptible to absolute disaster outings. His inability to limit free passes is the main reason why these outings occur, but they are inevitable to happen many times each year for Snell. When he's on his game and has the feel for his pitches, he's great, but when he doesn't, he's a mess and therefore not someone who I can consider to be one of the better pitchers in the game today. I wouldn't be surprised if he posts yet another season with elite numbers, but it surely won't come without its ups and downs throughout. And with that being said, that concludes my 5 overrated players entering the 2025 season. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next one.